Yo, this is Teresa Weatherspoon, better known as Teaspoon, and you're watching Real Fans, Real Talk.
Live from the can. Vibe you can.
This is Real Fans, Real Talk. Real fans, real talk. We as real as you thought. Real fans.
What's going on? Welcome to another live edition of Real Fans, Real Talk. First and foremost, let me shout out my guy, the team for that theme song. Every time I hear the theme song, even though we only get the little snippet, you know what I'm saying? I got to shout out my guy Johnny Flores, and of course, one of the best female battle rappers to do it, Misfit, for holding us down on that one. Salute to the both of y'all. Appreciate you as always. Oh man, a lot of sports going on this week as usual. Two very big injuries and the revival of a career all went down this week.
Well, we might have a third injury because we're waiting to hear what happens with Devontae Adams, who left that game yesterday as well.
Oh my!
But yeah, two definitely season-ending injuries last night or yesterday.
So it's a lot going on. But before we get into that, let me introduce my co-host, my brother, Eric Sanchez, aka Legend in Two Games. What's going on, man?
What's really good, bro? You know, I mean, week 15 was amazing. Tomorrow night, my Knicks play in the NBA Cup, so I'm excited about that. And we got some boxing. You know, I don't know how great of a boxing fight it's going to be, but we got some boxing this weekend too, Trip. So we're coming off a good weekend. We're one day closer to Christmas. So I hope everybody's doing well out there and prepared for the holidays. But I'm ready to go, man.
Well, you mentioned the NBA Cup, so you know what? Let's start there. Because last week we was running down OKC schedule, and I was saying dub. But when the Spurs conversation came up, I thought Wemby was not going to be back in time for the play-in, and of course Wemby was back in time, and then that kind of changed things up. And obviously, OKC takes their first loss, I think, in a month, if I'm not mistaken, a little bit over
about
a month. Were you surprised that San Antonio ended the streak?
No, I wasn't surprised. Now, I expected OKC to win, so I'm not going to make it seem like I projected, they're going to lose. But this is one of the things I said last week when we talked about it. That's tough to think you're just going to mow down the rest of the month, right? Because with every win becomes more pressure, and then other teams want to elevate their game to try to beat you. I think what surprised me the most about it is, for those that watched that game, OKC got off to a hot start, and OKC had a lead on them. And normally when OKC gets a lead on you, defensively, they just wear you down, you know what I'm saying, and win. So I think the most shocking part was how it actually flipped. The Spurs were able to walk them down. The Spurs were able to, you know what I'm saying, kind of not only mount the comeback, but then keep putting the pressure on OKC and then beat them in a close game. So I think the way they beat them surprised me a little bit. But again, we're asking a lot. OKC is going to be damn near the favorite in every game they play the rest of the year. We're asking a lot to think they're going to just win every time they're the favorite. There's going to be some nights where the shots aren't falling. There's going to be some nights where the other team does have it going. And this just happened to be one of those nights. And the Spurs, defensively, we know they're very good, especially when Wemby's there.
Exactly. Shout out to the Spurs, man. That was a big win for them. I'm glad that Wemby is back because the NBA needs their stars on the floor. So I'm very happy that Wemby is back. And listen, you know, like I said, had I known Wemby was playing from the jump, I might have changed how I felt about the situation. But they did what they had to do, and they were able to move on. I think it's going to be a really good matchup. The finals for the play-in tournament. I'm excited to see where that goes. We gonna switch things up because I see y'all want us to talk Sharon. Like Imani, come on. All right, we're gonna talk Sharon more right now. Yes, okay. We saw your messages. All right, and let me go back up here because Kyrie actually started the day off with the comment about it. Shout out to Kyrie, first in the chat. He says the biggest story of the last week is Sharon Moore being fired for begging an assistant and then went to her house. It's so many layers to this story. Overall, thoughts on everything. Well, first and foremost, I think it's a sad story. Because it's a lot of unnecessary things that could have been avoided. Uh, you know, my, as the late great Louise Young would tell me, sometimes you got to keep that thing in your pants, and you can avoid certain things. So there's that, but there's a lot of layers to this whole situation. Um, I mean, it really sucks because obviously he's affected, his family is affected by this. I don't want to call it a side chick, but the side, but this is what it is. The side piece is affected by this, and then that football team is affected by this because in all of this and everything that's going on, they lose their coach. So there's a lot of layers, a lot of people that's affected by this whole thing. Um, man, brother, we got to stop letting women, what I'm saying, beat it down for it. Like I feel like there's always some type of female involved in the situation. You gotta, I don't know what his family life is like, but I do know that if you are married, you should probably get divorced before you start stepping out on your wife. Obviously, we know that don't always happen like that, but that's what should happen. But Eric, what was your take, man?
Well, I mean, in regards to the last part you said, in terms of his dynamic, from what I've read, and there was a picture that surfaced. His wife, I guess they're working through this. They were pictured earlier today. Whatever they were doing, obviously, they were out in public. I should put it that way. They were pictured together. So it looks like either maybe publicly they're giving off the impression that they're working through it. Maybe they really are working through it. Who knows? Only time will tell. In terms of the story, I think Coach Moore made a big time mistake because when you look at the circumstances of him taking over this job with Michigan, right? Aside from the gossipy part of it, because I know that's what a lot of people want to talk about, but aside from that, when you look at the circumstances surrounding how he took over the program, right? He takes over when Coach Harbaugh leaves. Michigan was under a lot of scrutiny for other things that took place on their coaching staff. There's a documentary on Netflix that talks about how they were stealing signs from other teams. There was a lot going on at the University of Michigan, and that's why Coach Harbaugh did leave. I know people say, oh, Chargers do a great job. It had a lot to do with the fact that they were under investigation already at Michigan. So Moore takes over a program that's under some scrutiny, and he really isn't their first choice, but he becomes the anointed choice because of his relationship with Coach Harbaugh. He coached the Michigan team, I believe, when Harbaugh was suspended, like those 2 games that year they won a national championship. So there's that reputation. He was looked at as the guy who can kind of restore our reputation, right? Right. So that's why I say there's more to this than just the gossipy side of this. There's this man's reputation and the very strong likelihood that he will never be a head coach on the collegiate level again. For people that look at it and say, oh, well, he just had an affair with women, I got to also understand the dynamics of what took place and how this came about. We're not saying that men in position of power don't have affairs with the women that work under them. We know what happens. It happens in your regular 9 to 5. So you know what happens at these upper levels where people are making millions of dollars. But it was the way he went about it. And the fact that it was discovered because he ordered a plan B on DoorDash. And when it got delivered to the facility, that's what kind of uncovered the secret. When you want to talk about being sloppy, it don't get more sloppy than that. Pause. Like, bro, you was too lazy to go to the store and get the plan B yourself. You ordered it on DoorDash to the school. Trip, you're muted right now.
I'm sorry. That's crazy as hell.
That's what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? So there were rumors. I went back and I looked at some of the people within the media space who cover Michigan. There were rumors a couple days up to the firing that, hey, there's something going on at Michigan. And there's speculation that he had an inappropriate relationship. That's what was. I went back and I looked at the tweets and like the columns that were being written a couple days before he got fired. So nobody knew really the extent of what happened. There was just this rumor that, hey, something inappropriate took place and Coach Moore may lose his job because of it. Then when we started to hear the details, that's when it got really shocking because it's like, damn, so you have this inappropriate relationship. The girl gets pregnant behind it. You're ordering Plan B pills to the facility. And then all this happens. Your wife is blindsided by it because obviously you didn't give her a heads up like, hey, there's some news that might break. So the day he goes home and tells her the news is the day he threatens to kill himself. Then he leaves out of the house, goes to the side chick house, and then threatens to kill her and puts a knife to her neck. So when we talk about this whole situation completely spiraling out of control, it's like, bro, had you just been a little smart about the way you were moving, none of this ever gets discovered. Because Shorty didn't tell on you. I think that's the other part of it too. People assume, oh, she told him. No, she had to come forward once it was already discovered that a Plan B pill had, been delivered to the facility.
Yeah. Wow.
And the DoorDash or the Uber Eats guy don't know who he's delivering it to. He just got a name on the damn bag. So now it starts to unravel.
Did it say Ron Burgundy?
It kind of starts to unravel. Like, yo, I got a delivery for a Sharon Moore. I don't, you know what I'm saying? I don't know what's good. They're like, yeah, we'll take it. Then next thing you know, somebody realizes, hold on, he delivering a Plan B up here. What's going on? Coach Moore, married man. I know his wife ain't taking no Plan B.
Exactly. Why would you all right? You're already risking it all by sleeping with somebody who works within the school, right?
Right.
Got her pregnant, which is crazy because obviously, you ain't do the right thing and pull out
right.
a wet condom. But you thought it was cool for you to order a Plan B and have it delivered to the school.
Yeah.
Of all places, and then you weren't even there to get the daggone Plan B when it got there. Somebody else got the Plan B for you. It's crazier. This whole thing is like I don't get it at all because none of this makes sense, Eric. None of this story makes any sense that this is what you would be out here doing. It's bad enough you stepping out on your family. It's bad enough you sleeping with somebody on the job when you know that's frowned upon. It's bad enough you get her pregnant, but then you go and order a Plan B and have it delivered to the school. That don't make no damn sense. I'm sorry, Eric. That don't make no damn sense, and nobody can't make it make sense to me.
No, and like I said, I don't know the dynamics of the conversation he's had with his wife. Obviously, nobody would know that except them. Mm-hmm. But I would have thought the moment this starts to unravel, you got to tell your wife before she finds out from anybody else.
Yeah.
Right? It's going to be bad no matter what. You know that. But you got to go into damage control and realize, like, look, I'm better off just telling my wife now before the news breaks and kind of let that emotional wave pass. Because the last thing I want is that she hears this from other people. Mm-hmm. And then it's a much larger emotional wave that I got to deal with now. Sometimes he didn't do that.
Weapons.
Right. He didn't do that. He thought, well, I'm not going to say nothing.
I don't know what he thought because he wasn't thinking clearly.
I'm assuming he must have thought I'm not going to say anything and this will just pass, which then leads to
not how that works usually.
That definitely not how that works. But then that's what leads to the events of that day. Him going home, his wife losing her fucking mind, part of my language, and then him threatening to kill himself in his home with his wife and kids.
Yeah.
Then he runs out of the house. And then to make a bad situation worse, thinks, hey, you know what I should do? I should go to the other woman's house now and threaten her. Because that's the best thing to do in this situation. Let's go put a knife to her neck and threaten her now.
So let's make it worse.
Right. So now not only did you lose your job and you're forfeiting that $13 million they owed you. Now he was sitting in jail for a couple of days until he saw the judge the other day with an aggravated assault charge now because he put a knife to her neck. And he's on suicide watch now.
Oh, ain't no coming back from this.
Yeah, it's over. That's what I said. Now you are never going to coach on the collegiate level again. It's never going to happen.
You'll be lucky if you get a high school coaching job.
That's where he's going to end up. I'm sorry to say,
he
will end up coaching high school.
It might be AAU football.
He'll probably listen. There's a lot of money in high school football, especially now with NIL. Mm-hmm. A lot of these big time football high school programs who want to get the best coaching, want to get the best guys in that facility, they will give him an opportunity. But when you consider the amount of money that you left on the table at Michigan and the opportunity that was there at Michigan, again, you're talking about one of the most prestigious college football jobs you can have. And he basically was handed that job. It wasn't like he had to interview against other candidates. Like I said to start my rant, he was the guy to be the heir apparent to Coach Harbaugh. He was already selected to be the guy. And the sad part about that is we talk so much, Trip, about opportunities for Black and brown men. We talk so often how they're overlooked, even though they are qualified. This is a prime example where Michigan knew Coach Moore was qualified, didn't even interview anybody else. They handed in the keys to the kingdom. And within 2 years, you found a way to shit the bed. You know, that's one of my favorite phrases, Trip. And he did it in the worst way.
So all right, so now let's talk about, because remember we said this thing was layered, right? So let's get to this one. Is Imani's comment. She says, I wonder what happens with the side chick in terms of like, did she get fired? One of the football players be on Fox Sports with the ponytail. He said an NFL player told him you have to pay them women to leave and keep it under wraps. Well, I mean, that's for prostitutes, not excuse me, I'm sorry, Eric, but that's what they say, right? You're supposed to pay them to leave. That's not, I don't think that's just for your side chick in general. I don't know how that one works out. But I haven't heard anything yet about her being fired.
She won't be.
Generally, she won't be, because I don't the lady in had a situation with Ime Edoku. She didn't get fired.
Well, you can't fire her because then you open yourself up to legal issues.
That's what I'm saying.
She'll be because you're being fired based on prejudice, and then you got a major lawsuit on your hands. But what they'll do is
the authority in this situation.
Right. He was the authority. Remember, it's easy because I see a lot of people on social media saying this. Oh, you know, nothing's gonna happen to her because she's white. No, nothing's gonna happen to her because she's one under contract. When he signs his contract, that's in the contract. That falls under abuse of power. Yeah. So for people that may not understand that, it has nothing to do with race. It has everything to do with the fact that he was the one under contract and he was the one who was not supposed to cross those lines. She does not have to abide by those same rules. She is not under a contract.
Exactly.
So she doesn't have to abide by those rules. They will not fire her. Now what will happen is she'll probably get reassigned. In due time, she might be let go for performance-based stuff, or she might stay at a lower level job and she'll never just get the opportunity to advance up. That's what's really going to happen. But this isn't, you know, let's keep it a buck. This really ain't about her. This is about an opportunity that Coach Moore let slip away. That's what this really is about. She was never going to be a head coach at Michigan. She was never going to have the opportunity to head coach at a high level. This is about him blowing an opportunity.
Yeah. Now I will say this though, because I also don't want to completely absolve her, because I'm pretty sure you knew he was married, because everybody knew he was married. So let's not. I don't want to just completely absolve her in this situation, because you definitely was a little home wrecker in this situation. So I just want to make that clear.
I mean that's from a morality standpoint.
Yeah.
But let's keep it a buck. We're all adults. Everybody in the comment section is adults. That don't mean nothing to people.
No, it don't.
That don't mean nothing to people, because we all know plenty of people who have worked together, and whether the woman is married to somebody outside the job or the man is married to somebody outside the job, they still have a relationship, and they they will be friends that cross that line that now become each other's side piece, whatever the case may be. And there is no, like I always say, that's one of the situations where it ain't no real obligation for the other person to be faithful. That it wasn't her job to be faithful to Coach Moore's wife.
No,
you know what I'm saying? Right. That's not her job. So yeah, we can call her a homewrecker, which by the letter of the definition, that's what she is. But realistically, I put the blame on Coach Moore because you had way more to lose.
Oh yeah,
like I said, you're talking about millions of dollars a year. This is the job you've been waiting for. I don't know him personally. I'm not saying he's never stepped out on his wife. I'm not saying he always stepped out on his wife, whatever. But if you were going to do it, you needed to be on your A game and know, like, yo, this could never compromise my job.
If you're going to cheat on your wife, don't cheat on your wife with somebody that works at the same job as you.
I'm just saying, don't let it compromise my job.
Yeah, that's what you did.
Right. Don't let it compromise my job.
You could have had a side chick anyway.
Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, bro. It amazes me sometimes that like the lack of just really thinking in these situations, because you're talking about you coach at a major Division I program. You go on the road and recruit when they're not in season. They normally spend most of the summer on the road recruiting. You know what I'm saying? The next batch of guys that they want to bring in. They're at different camps. They're at different tournaments, summer tournaments. They're doing all these things to meet new players. You're on the road all the time. You could easily get you a side piece. He in Michigan, he could have found him a side piece anytime they go to Ohio. He could have found him a side piece anytime they're in Pennsylvania. You know what I'm saying? You did something so close to home. You muted, Trip. You muted.
I said he could have found a side piece anytime he stepped off the campus.
That's what I'm saying. And you chose to mess around with somebody close to home and then make a bad situation worse. Not only am I cheating with somebody who works here, I get her pregnant. I order a Plan B pill to the facility. Come on, bro.
There was no better time for you to get that Plan B?
Come on, bro.
Crazy as hell, man. I don't know what to tell you.
You couldn't have stopped at CVS on the way in. You couldn't take a lunch break real quick. Y'all gonna go over here real fast. I'm just gonna get this. And please pay in cash. Don't use your debit card or credit cards. Come on, bro. But I don't know about these things, Trip. I'm just saying, I think it would be safer to pay in cash. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
No fingerprints.
Yeah, it might be safer to pay in cash. Don't wear the Michigan hat when you walk in, please. Maybe just not wear any of the Michigan gear.
You are right, sir. Shout out to Ron Charles. He says, is this season a failure for the Cowboys? No, I'm not gonna say it's a failure, because I think they did bring in a few pieces from the Micah Parsons trade. They still got a couple of first round draft picks, and technically they can still make the playoffs. They haven't been mathematically eliminated yet, so I don't think this was a failure for the Cowboys. Plus, I mean, if they get into the playoffs for the Cowboys, that's a success, because it's not like nobody pegged them to go to the Super Bowl. So if they can actually still get into the playoffs, then I don't think it would be a failure. But again, they made a couple of moves that will help them out moving forward. So, I wouldn't say it's at least not right now, because we don't know whether or not they'll make the playoffs. If they don't make the playoffs, then yes, I will say this season was a failure.
I've said all year. I've said from the time they traded Micah that their ceiling was 8 to 9 wins. Mm-hmm. I've said that the whole time. So to me, this is not a failure. They're 6-7-1. They're probably going to still end up with 8 wins. Like you said, mathematically, they're not eliminated. Mm-hmm. But I think at this point, they're down to something like a 12% chance to make the playoffs. They need so much help to get in. Everything would have to go damn near perfect the next 3 weeks for them to get in. But with that being said, is it a failure? No, it's not a failure, because nobody in their right mind can show me where they predicted the Cowboys would be a top 5 team in the NFC, right? Nobody in their right mind can show me where they predicted the Cowboys were a Super Bowl contender. So how could it be a failure? This was a situation where this team needed a lot of work, and we knew they needed a lot of work before the season started. Mm-hmm. There were question marks about Pickens. That's worked out really well for them. Pickens' move was great for them. Absolutely. There was questions around Dak. I think Dak had a really good year this year. There were questions about their defense. They kind of remade their defense on the fly. They trade Micah Parsons. They bring in Quentin Williams. They bring in Kenny Clark. They bring in Luke Wilson, the linebacker from Cincinnati, and they remade their defense. Mm-hmm. But this team still needs a lot of work moving forward. And as I said from preseason, here we are on week 15. 8 to 9 wins was going to be their cap regardless. I think when the Cowboys look at this season, they'll say, hey, there were some missed opportunities, some close games we could have won. You know what I'm saying? Absolutely. But I think if you're also the Cowboys, you look at this and say, look, there's some things to build on. We have an elite level offense. It looks like they finally found their running back with Javonte Williams, who's over 1,000 yards on the season, right? So, they got to lock in Pickens to be the guy next to CD. So now you have your weapons offensively. I think they have some pieces defensively. They got 2 first-round picks, And this season was more about trying to reshape the team moving forward. So to me, it's not a failure. There was a lot of things to work on before the season started, but I think ultimately, as we look at their season, we'll say, look, they were okay. They weren't terrible. They were okay, and their record shows that 6-7-1 is a pretty average team. They were average on the year, and once their defense gets better, maybe they can elevate themselves into a legitimate playoff team again.
Yeah. Yeah. Hold on. I seen one more Cowboys comment. Let me just throw this up here before we go to the next thing. Where we at? What I see that Cowboys comment on? Oh, okay. Squeezy says, "What went wrong for the Cowboys?" I'm assuming he's referring to just this weekend's game, not the entire season. A lot of things went wrong this weekend. No, they I don't know. They couldn't get the offense together. The way they had been clicking, Dak couldn't get into the end zone this game. And I think that's what kind of made the difference. Javonte Williams had a pretty solid game. The running game was there. I mean, the pass game was there because Dak threw for a lot of yards, but they just couldn't get the football into the end zone. And then on the defensive side of the football, when you give up that many points, it's gonna be difficult to win. Shootouts haven't worked out so much this season for the Cowboys. So
the easiest thing, and like you said, Trip, they had the yardage, they just didn't convert when they got down inside the 25. They had to settle for some field goals. That was the difference. But Trip, as you enjoy your news there, Pulse, what's been my favorite bet this year?
The Baker Mayfield 250 yards passing.
That's been my second. My favorite is Cowboys over.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Cowboys over has been my favorite. Guess what happened again yesterday? Over. The issue with the Cowboys this year has been their defense can't stop anybody. You look at yesterday, their offense goes for over 400 yards, right? Dak throws for 250 plus. They run for another 100 yards. They put up 26 points, but their defense gives up 34. And all year, that's really been the theme. You look at all their games, Trip, the games that even when the times they've played well, this game prior to this, when they lost to the Lions, their offense puts up 30 points. They give up 44 points, Trip, right? When they beat when they beat the Chiefs, they had to put up 31 points. But you look, the Broncos put up 44 points on them. The Panthers put up 30 points on them. The Packers put up 40 points on them. The Bears put up 31 points on them. So the Giants put up 37 points on them. This has been the theme with the Cowboys all year. The offense, they are probably the NFC version of the Bengals. The offense is elite. The offense ain't the problem.
Yeah, you know what? You're right.
It's the defense. They can't trust their defense to get a stop when they need a stop. And it's almost like, hey, if we're not going to score 35 points a game, we're probably going to lose. And it showed again yesterday. You score 26 points in the NFL, you have 400 total yards. You think, all right, that's enough. But your defense can't get a stop, especially when you consider it's J.J. McCarthy out of all quarterbacks who lit you up yesterday. You know what I'm saying? So the Cowboys, what went wrong for them all year is they don't have a defense that can match their offense. Hopefully they take those 2 first-round picks they got coming up and they build that side of the ball up. I'm pretty sure that's what they're going to target in the draft. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're going to target a pass rusher and maybe a cornerback because I'm going on record. I've said it many times. I'm saying it again now. You could book it. If you could bet on it, bet on it. Trayvon Diggs will be the cap casualty for the Cowboys. He will be the one get cut. Bland already got his money. They got a young kid in Ravel that they really like at cornerback. Diggs right now is an expensive cornerback for a team that, one, isn't good defensively, and 2, Diggs doesn't make the plays that he made a couple years ago when he led the league in interceptions.
Yeah,
so
he's getting older, man.
Right. Diggs, I think all of his guaranteed money is pretty much off the books as well. Mark my words, he will be the guy that gets cut this offseason. The Cowboys will try to use that to free up the money so that they can sign Pickens to a new deal, and then they're going to go after the defensive targets that they need.
All right. Okay. Squeezy says, can the Packers reach the Super Bowl without Parsons? I mean, realistically, has he done that much for that defense to.
No, he had a good year. It wasn't a flashy year. When he got hurt as of yesterday, he had 12 and a half sacks, and he led the league in pressures on a quarterback. So he was having an impactful year. It wasn't flashy.
For the Packers or in total?
But for the Packers, I mean, he's been with the Packers all year, Trip.
Oh, he started. Okay, yeah, because they didn't even
he got traded right before week 1.
Yeah. Well, it's not bad.
And he was coming on the last couple of weeks, if I remember correctly, because we had this conversation about the Packers. I got to look back, but I think in his last 4 weeks, he had 6 sacks. Like he was starting to turn it on as of the last month.
So if you believe that the Packers can actually make it to the Super Bowl, then yes, they can still reach the Super Bowl without Micah Parsons. Here's why I say that, Eric, because when was the last time you saw Micah Parsons have an impactful playoff game?
Oh, never.
So if we're just basing it off of that, it might actually be better for you that he's not on the field during your playoff game.
Nah, I don't believe that. I think for them, they needed Micah Parsons to be healthy. Now, as I mentioned,
if he was healthy, would he have actually had an impact in a playoff game this season?
Well, only opportunity would have been able to tell. I mean, in terms of the season he was having this year, he had 12 and a half sacks as of yesterday. So he was top 5 in sacks in the league. He was number 1 in quarterback pressures. Like I said, he was starting to come on in terms of his production because he had 6 sacks over the last 5 weeks. So he was starting to become more of an impact guy when he got hurt. But if you're the Packers, where this really hurt you is you sacrificed what you could do against a run. When you traded Kenny Clark, it was almost like you said, hey, we're willing to give up rushing yards for the opportunity to have an elite pass rusher. And it wasn't just Micah, it was also the opportunities he created for other guys on that defense, specifically Rashawn Gary, who's the opposite of him on the D-line. So now that you don't have Micah, you don't have somebody who really needs to be double-teamed on the defensive line. And it makes it easier for offensive linemen, for offensive lines to protect their quarterback against your pass rush. I don't think they can get to the Super Bowl because what I see from the Rams, what I see from the Seahawks, from the 49ers, those are really good teams that can throw the ball and can beat you multiple ways. And if you're not going to get pressure on the quarterback, there's a lot of pressure on your secondary. You saw Denver exploited that secondary yesterday. So without Micah Parsons, can they make the Super Bowl? Yeah, anything's possible. But when you consider that they're not going to have a bye week, they may not even win their division. They're probably going to have to go on the road in all their games. They're going to need some way to get to the quarterback. And just without Micah Parsons, I don't see them getting to the Super Bowl. I think their chances took a drastic hit yesterday. And they lost Christian Watson as well yesterday.
So he took 2 big losses.
Christian Watson was another guy who was starting to play really well over the last month.
All right, let's go to Lamar's comment. He says, the NBA Cup, Spurs beat the Lakers without Wemby and then beat the mighty Thunder with Wemby back. Knicks take care of business and get to the finals. So who wins it all? I mean, I know, Eric, you want the Knicks to win it all. And we're gonna see. I think the Knicks do have a good chance. But Wemby being back in that Spurs lineup changes a lot. And I think this thing is 50-50. I'm gonna be honest with you. I can't even pick a winner right now.
Well, I'm just gonna say this because it needs to be said, all right. No team has ever won the NBA Cup and the NBA Finals until the New York Knicks do it this year. So after we take care of the Spurs tomorrow night, after we put belt to what tomorrow night, and we show the Spurs that we're not Oklahoma City, that nonsense you did against them don't work against us, then all the conversation will shift. Well, like, what can the Knicks do this come June? And then we're going to say, yes, we're going to be the only team to ever do both, to go to the NBA Cup and win it, and then we'll be in the NBA Finals and win that. But in all seriousness, though, that's the homer in me. But in real talk, the Spurs are a good team. Mm-hmm. The Spurs are one of the really young threats in the NBA because of Wemby, and we know how special Wemby is. Mm-hmm. But I do think the Knicks win. I just see something in Jalen Brunson. A lot of people don't give him his credit. I think Jalen Brunson is really, truly one of the best players in the NBA. It's not flashy, but it's super technical. And it's almost like watching a boxer who doesn't knock people out, but he's so good that he kind of just methodically picks apart his opponents. That's what watching Jalen Brunson is like. It doesn't matter who guards him. Now, this will be an interesting matchup because the Spurs have multiple guys. You're going to see some De'Aaron Fox on him. You're going to see some Stephon Castle on him. They're going to throw different guys who are bigger defenders on him. But I just think Jalen Brunson, his ability to get his shot whenever he wants. The Knicks have been a completely different team once Josh Hart got back into the starting lineup. I think the Knicks win tomorrow, and I would not be surprised if the Knicks are impressive when they win tomorrow. I can see the Knicks winning by like 8+ points tomorrow night.
Listen, I do believe in the Knicks, so I'm not gonna, doubt that. But I just think this game is gonna be 50-50. But
it's a tough game though. Spurs are good. Spurs are good.
Yeah. They're definitely a lot better than that preseason poll that we spoke about. Had them, pegged to be, because they've definitely showed that they are, well, when healthy, they are a team, to be reckoned with. So, like I said, they can go either way. But I'm excited. This is going to be a good game. No matter how you look at it, it's going to be a good game.
Yeah, I think it's a good game. Two good teams. And you're right, Trip. We said it when they had the Western Conference predictions. We were like, how are the Spurs not in? Because as long as Wemby's healthy, they're a top 6 team in the West with all the other pieces. Dylan Harper looks really good, bro. Like the Spurs might have got the best player in that draft when they already had one of the best young guys. So I think it's going to be a good game, but I do like the Knicks to win, and I think the Knicks will be impressive tomorrow.
All right, well, we're going to see. All right, let's go to this next comment. Okay. Why did Matt Collins walk in the snow barefoot and shirtless? I think when I read that at first, and at first that came into my mind, I was about to say barefoot and pregnant, but barefoot and shirtless, because he's trying to catch pneumonia, clearly. Like, what you mean? I have no idea why that man would walk barefoot and shirtless in the snow. The fact that this, he's, because I'm not mistaken, Matt Collins is black, right? So, if he was a white player, then I probably could have just given up to that and said they be outside in the cold like that. But as a brother, I have no idea why he's out shoeless and shirtless.
So this is really a non-story. He does this before every game. I don't know what it's called, but there is a way of thinking where he does not wear shoes on a normal day. This is all jokes aside. No, this is for real. This is real. He has talked about it because this isn't the first time he's been videoed coming into Patriot Stadium with no shoes or no shirt on. Like I said, it just made the wave yesterday because it was snowing in New England. So it was like, oh, look at Matt coming in. But if you look at all his pregame walk-ins from the parking lot in, he does not wear shoes. And a lot of times when he's warming up before the game in the early warm-ups, he's not wearing cleats. He might just be out there in shorts and a T-shirt and not wearing cleats. So this isn't nothing new for him. I believe he's a vegan, but this also has something to do with like connecting with the earth. He's talked about it before, so I apologize.
Because was he grounding?
Yeah, that's what it's called. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's what I say. It looks crazy because it was snowing yesterday in New England. But I promise you could look at any footage from this year. He's done it all year. He comes in that way. It was something that made headlines in the preseason because, again, he would work out before the games on the field with no shoes on. And so people started questioning why it was. And he was talking about the connection to the earth and that he only wears shoes when necessary. So obviously in a game, you got to wear shoes. You can't be out there barefoot running around. That would just be.
Now that we established it was grounding, then that makes a lot more sense. Because like one of my like really close friends, she is into grounding and like being one with nature and things like that. So that does actually make a lot of sense. Now doing it in a snowstorm is crazy as hell. So
but realistically, that's no different. There's a lot of guys who try to make the statement when it's super cold. Like right now, I got the Pittsburgh game in the background before it starts anyway. And there was guys warming up out there in a tank top.
Yeah.
Mind you, we know it's fucking 9 degrees out there in Pittsburgh right now.
Pittsburgh is crazy.
Yeah, so some guys do it as like try to make it seem like a intimidation factor to the other team, like, oh, the weather's not affecting me. But in this case, this is something that he truly believes in and he's practicing, and he's done it before every game. So this isn't anything new.
Copy. Ron says, are the Colts owed an apology after Rivers' performance? First of all, this don't even make no sense. The fact that they went and got Phillip Rivers is sad. That I feel like every quarterback who is like in the practice squad realm, or just sitting, like, they should be ashamed of themselves that Phillip Rivers got the call. And I know people are gonna say, well, oh, they wanted to bring somebody in that knew the system, and he knew the system really well. But I mean, Phillip Rivers hasn't played in how many years? Isn't he? I'm about to say he's Hall of Fame eligible. Yeah. Well, not anymore, I guess, right? Because now
he got to start this clock. Yeah, he restarted the clock.
Like, I'm not it. I don't know about no apology. Like people felt the way they should feel about you signing a quarterback who was past his prime the last time we saw him on the field. You know what I mean? So for us to feel like, well, now you're talking about 5 years past that and him going on the field. No, people were right in feeling like, what the hell are you guys doing? And honestly, the only thing that really, justified this is like, you got to win games. Then maybe you might say, yeah, well, you see, y'all didn't give us a chance, and we got to win. Again, and it wasn't on him that y'all lost that game, because the defense, they didn't have the best of games. And on top of that, you should have known it was going to take a little while to build a chemistry and a rapport with the offense. So yeah, apology, no. Did he play all right? He was all right. But again, the Seahawks don't have the best defense. They don't have the best pass rush. So Phillip Rivers was actually out there looking comfortable. And if you can look comfortable as a quarterback, if you can be comfortable, then you can definitely get you a win or two.
Listen, I'm a Colts fan, so I'm going to be completely honest. What the fuck are we apologizing for, Ron? I'm going to be honest. I don't know if you watched the game, Ron. Phillip Rivers went 18 of 27 for 120 yards. He didn't do anything special, right? To put it in more context, out of those 18 completion strip, 8 of those completions were to the running backs. So it wasn't like he came off the couch and like, oh, now we're just slinging the ball around and everybody's involved in the offense. No, it was a very basic and vanilla offense to protect dink and dunk, to protect a 44-year-old quarterback who was just on his couch last week. The Colts are not owed an apology for that. All right. The Colts didn't win the game. Phillip Rivers was not great in the game. He was better than I thought, but that's not saying much again, because the guy ain't played in 5 years. I didn't expect him to come out there and light it up either. I really thought he was going to throw a couple of picks. I really thought that they were going to be able to get pressure on the offensive line and get some sacks, and it didn't happen the same way I thought. But there's no apology owed to the Colts. Now, again, to keep things in proper context, Trip, were there probably better options out there? Yes. But because of where we're at in the season, you don't have time to have a guy learn the playbook. And that's really why I came down to Phillip Rivers.
Yeah.
I do agree there were better options. I do agree that if this was under different circumstances, you probably don't call Phillip Rivers. But because you were down to week 15 and you had 4 games left and you needed somebody who can kind of come in and start right away. Because, again, look what they did. They signed Phillip Rivers on Tuesday. He was activated on Friday. He basically had 2 practices with the team and was the starter. Yeah. So you needed somebody who could know the offense very, very quickly. The The fact that he coaches high school football and uses the same offensive philosophy and scheme made it easy because he already knew the playbook. That's really why it was Phillip Rivers. Now, if this injury to Daniel Jones would have happened in week 4, week 5, maybe they don't get Phillip Rivers. Maybe they do get another quarterback. But because it's so late in the season, because of what's at stake, they had no choice. You got to go this direction. But I don't think the Colts are owed an apology because what are you apologizing for? They got the guy they felt was best for the job. Whether it works or not, time will tell.
And they still
no
lost the game at the end of the day.
Right. But also, like I said, you're picking the guy who you feel is best for the job.
Yeah.
Whether the outside world believes in it or not means nothing.
He would have had to have like 350, 3 touchdowns. You know what I'm saying? Like then he'd be like, all right, should we apologize?
Right.
But
and even at that point, if I'm be honest, if he had came out and threw for like 300 yards and 3 touchdowns, I would have been the first to be like, why the hell you been sitting on your couch for the last 5 years? You should have been in the league. You could have still been running up numbers out here.
I didn't even think Phillip Rivers wanted to play football anymore because 1 year, 2 years, 3, 4, 5 years went past.
Right. He was the one who retired. He wasn't forced out. Remember his last year with the Colts? The Colts made the playoffs. They lost to Buffalo in the first round of playoffs. He was the one who stepped away. Yeah. It wasn't like the Colts said, "Oh, you got to leave." They won 11 games with Phillip Rivers as their starting quarterback. Yeah, so they had some success. Right. That's what I'm saying. They had some success. If Phillip Rivers would have said, "Hey, I think I want to run it back one more year," I think the Colts would have been open to the idea back in 2021.
Yeah.
He was the one who chose to walk away.
Yeah. Let me go to this next comment. D'Angelo, what up? Says Sunday's results more about the Bills or the Patriots? I mean, listen, the Bills had to get some get back. There was, some space in between them in the standings. So they did, they did what they were supposed to do. So I'm gonna say it says more about the Bills because you're going into, to Foxborough for that game after you already got your butt kicked, earlier this season by these guys, and they're looking like you guys were supposed to be the team to beat in the AFC. They looking like the team to beat in the AFC, and you go in there and you handle business. Shout out to James Cook. Shout out to Josh Allen. I think this is about the Bills.
It's got to be about the Bills. Again, context matters, right? The Patriots were on a 10-game winning streak. The Patriots were at home with an opportunity to clinch the division. All week, we kept hearing there's a shirt and hat game. If the Patriots win, they get to celebrate the AFC East. Mm-hmm. They go up 21-0 in the second quarter. And from that point on, Josh Allen reminded everybody why he was MVP of the league. From that point on, they are 21-0 after Trayvon Henderson's second touchdown. And it's about 6 minutes left in the second quarter. From that point on, the Buffalo Bills outscored the Patriots 35-10 the rest of the game, Trip. Mm-hmm. Josh Allen turned into the MVP in that moment. And I think it will be the defining moment of Josh Allen this season because that was that moment we talked about so often. They don't have the receivers that can beat you, man. They don't have nobody who can get open. Josh Allen said, F all that. Let's just go. Let's just go. And whatever we do, we do. And him and James Cook carried them from that point on. I think there's everything to do about the Bills. And I think the biggest takeaway from Week 15, now, unless something crazy happens tonight on Monday Night Football, I think the biggest takeaway is that with the Kansas City Chiefs officially out of the picture, I think the Buffalo Bills might be the real favorites in the AFC now. Because the only guy Josh Allen's ever had trouble beating is Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. And now that with that type of win yesterday, to me, that just it looked like a team that said, yo, you know what? We are legitimate contenders. Let's stop playing around with y'all. Let's stop playing these games. And I was super impressed by Buffalo. Again, down 21-0 on the road. That crowd is going crazy. That crowd is feeling like they're about to clinch up the division. And Josh Allen took it to a completely different level in that game. Shout out to the Buffalo Bills because it definitely was about them.
See, and that's what when you got an MVP caliber quarterback, things can change just like that.
Yeah.
Shout out to Pooh She says, I think the Spurs are legit contenders, and I seen it a little before Wemby's return. Remember, they was missing Fox and Harper when Wemby was playing before he got hurt. They deep. Yeah. Spurs are a very good team, and if they can stay healthy, I think they can make a deep run.
They're a good team. They not deep, pause, but they're a good team. Um, I think they got a lot of good young talent. I think they're very versatile again because of their guard play. Ultimately, the health of Wimby and the development of their young guards are going to be the two things that determine how much success they have this year. Because if Dylan Harper and Stephon Castle continue to develop the way they've been developing, they become a very scary team because you know Wimby is going to be an MVP caliber player. So if you get Dylan Harper to develop into that true number two, if you get De'Aaron Fox to become the floor general that they need him to be at times, they could be a very scary team. But in terms of depth, I don't think they're that deep. They don't really have much of a bench. They're a team that's really centered around their core guys, their 5 or 6 guys. Good team, good young head coach, and they are going to be a problem in the future. I think. I don't think they're a problem just yet, though.
They have to stay healthy though. They got some guys.
That's the number one thing. That's
With
the number one thing.
Castle and Vassal.
Yeah, Vassell, Castle, Dylan Harper, De'Aaron Fox.
Yeah, they got some pieces.
They got some guys. No, they got some guys, but I don't believe in their depth like that.
Yeah. So maybe they can add in a couple, before the trade deadline. Maybe they can bring somebody over to help give them a little bit of depth. They probably need a backup big man as well. Because just to kind of give Wimby some type of a rest, so it's not like because this team pretty much is going to go on Wimby's health. They
Right.
either go or not go based off of his health. So maybe if you can get a backup big man in there to help with some of the minutes, even if you could shave 3-4 minutes off of the time that Wimby's out on the floor to preserve him, I think that'll help. But again, we got time, trade deadline. We'll see what they do.
Yeah, health is the number one thing. They've had injuries, and obviously Wimby's the number one guy, but in general, overall health.
Hoop Central, my guy, says Lakers Suns game last night was a mess. Of course, Brooks was effing with Braun like usual, but LeBron was acting weird and fake tough. Then I wonder why he didn't get ejected for putting his hands on the ref. Then Braun fouled Brooks on the 3, and they called the foul on Booker on Braun's 3 at the end. That game was a mess. Listen, sometimes it's going to be like that. It is what it is, and you got to fight through the BS. There was some stuff going on both sides of the basketball. We know who Dylan Brooks is. As far as that foul they called on Booker, I believe it was a foul because he didn't give Braun enough space to come down. So I believe it was a foul. But for Dylan Brooks, you can't. Your team is playing really well. This is a close game. You can't put yourself and have yourself get ejected because you take things. If it's the level is here, you got to bring it here. So you have to be better in those situations. You cannot get ejected because you're actually a big part of this Suns team. You play very well against the Lakers. You play well against LeBron. You know what I mean? So you have to be on the floor. And the perfect example of this is, because everybody wants Draymond Green. Draymond Green gets suspended, in the finals, and we know what happens from there. You cannot help your team if you are not on the floor.
Dylan Brooks, his reaction was wrong. It was a foul on Braun because Braun was in his landing space and bumped him. I think Braun is super corny for this. I don't know what I did wrong. Why are you so mad? Like, come on, bro. That's the part of Braun's game that I don't like. Too often it's like he wants to play the victim. He wants to make it seem as if like he did nothing wrong. He knew he bumped Dylan Brooks and was in his landing space. The foul on Book at the end, I would have called that a foul too. You can't aggressively swipe down as the shooter's going up. The ref is going to react to the action.
Of course.
But, to Hoop Central's point, Ron should have been ejected because he pushed the ref twice. There was also another comment. I don't know if you saw it, Trip. There's a lot going on in LA right now, and their winning is covering up for what's going on there. JJ Redick said something that was very telling when he talked about the technical foul during that game that Bron shot. Because he said he told him to let Luka shoot it, and Bron just ignored his order and walked right to the free throw line and shot it before Luka could get there. And then afterwards, Bron was like, well, why wouldn't I shoot it? As opposed to acknowledging that the coach clearly stated, I wanted Luka to shoot the tech.
Yeah.
You try to deflect and say, why wouldn't I shoot it? That's a prime example of Bron still feeling like I'm the star of this team, so why wouldn't I go to the free throw line? Because in most cases, the star of the team is the one who shoots the technical free throw.
Bron hasn't been the best of free throw shooters, so that's why you wouldn't go take that shot.
Thank you. And JJ Redick didn't want to kind of throw him under the bus. But see, that's also the reason why if you're JJ Redick, that's why you would want Luka shooting it. Luka is a better free throw shooter, and he's your A1. He's your number one guy. So, go ahead. Get the free point. Maybe that develops a little rhythm for you, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
There's something going on here.
Luka was 2 for 10 from the foul line that night. Then
again, JJ said he clearly told the team as they were getting ready to go down to that end of the court, Luka's shooting it.
Yeah.
And he said when he turned around, LeBron was already at the free throw line getting the ball from the ref. So there's something going on there. Right now, because they're winning, it's kind of covering up. But there's a power struggle going on behind the scenes there. And that will be something to watch as the season plays out.
Mm-hmm. D'Angelo says, Burrow says, fun comment, more aimed at Bengals.
Yeah, they were.
What was the exact comment?
He talked about the game not being fun anymore. This is what led to people wondering if he was kind of going down the path of like Andrew Luck, where he might retire early. He talked about the losing and the injuries not being fun anymore. It is a direct comment at the Bengals. That's the only organization you've ever known.
At least at their defense, anyway.
Well, I mean, but let's go with this.
Out. They
right. But it's the only organization you have ever known. So if the game is no longer fun because you're not winning, because you've been getting injured, well, let's see. You've probably been getting injured because it's the worst offensive line in football.
Yeah.
Trip, are you aware that Joe Burrow has won comeback player of the year twice already in his career?
You're going to probably win it a third time next.
That's what I'm saying. You're talking about a guy who's not even 30 years old and you already won comeback player of the year twice because the injuries have been that significant?
You shouldn't be allowed, like, if you're the caliber of quarterback Joe Burrow, you shouldn't be allowed to win comeback player of the year. Like, that's not fair to the guys that, you know what I mean? Because it's like, we know you're going to have MVP
right.
season.
So
you actually play. That's not right.
Right. So when he makes those comments, it is a direct reflection and a direct target aimed at the Cincinnati Bengals. This isn't a guy who's 35 years old, who's like, oh, the game isn't fun anymore. Then it'd be different, right? If you've been in the league so long that it's like,
bro, you like, come on.
You're just getting into your prime. You're one of the best 3 or 4 quarterbacks in the NFL, but the game isn't fun, and you're tired of losing because the organization you play for sucks. Mm-hmm. The GM sucks, and you're wasting away great years right now. This is if he.
He's really saying I'm ready to leave.
That's what he's saying. Because what it's starting to look like is when Matthew Stafford was on the Lions. That's what it's starting to look like. It's starting to look like a guy who's too good for the circumstance he's in. And if you get him somewhere else, he probably would be playing for Super Bowls every year. But because he's in Cincinnati, his season's already over.
Yeah. Now, this is the sad news. I hate to see this happen. My main man, Patrick Mahomes, is out for the season with a torn ACL, which means we probably won't be seeing Patrick Mahomes until late 2026, maybe even 2027, because that's a injury that takes a year, maybe even year and a half to really come back from. And this was like a double whammy because it's like you get bumped from the playoffs as official, and then you lose Patrick Mahomes for maybe the next season, and you know what I mean, like the rest of this season, and probably halfway to 3/4 of next season, you're gonna not have your quarterback.
It's unfortunate for Patrick Mahomes. I think that in terms of recovery, I think we will see him next year. I think it depends on how quickly he gets through these winter months with his recovery. Because with modern medicine and with things they do, I wouldn't be surprised if this turns into maybe an 8 to 10 month injury as opposed to a full year. And so, and let's say if we put it on the 10 month perspective, he might be back by next October.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So he might miss the first month of the season and be ready to go in October.
I hope that's the case.
Right. Now, these first couple months would be really telling. If it's a fast progression, and let's say by April or May he's not wearing a brace or he's able to, put pressure on it, then yeah, he might be ready come October. So it's unfortunate though, because again, you never want to see a guy get hurt. You don't know what effect this will have next year. Like you said, you don't know what psychological effect it may have. You look at Tom Brady, when Tom Brady had a similar injury, Tom Brady obviously missed that full year. That next year, Tom Brady wasn't as effective. He struggled a little bit early on, and then he got himself going.
Yeah.
But that's what happens with these type of injuries, especially when you're a quarterback in the pocket. You got all these people around your legs, diving around you. You start to get very conscious of that. And for Mahomes, a guy who likes to extend plays moving around, you don't know how it's going to hurt that part of his game. But long term, I think he'll be all right. It's just unfortunate that we had to see it that way.
Yeah. Wishing him a speedy recovery. All right. Ron says, which team wins tonight, Dolphins or Steelers? Well, obviously, Eric, you know who I'll be rooting for tonight, and that's the Miami Dolphins. Not just because Miami is my second home, but because the Steelers are in the same division as my Ravens. One, and I need a big game from David O'Shane today just to seal my fantasy football week. I'm playing Sean Fontaine this week, so I definitely need my main man O'Shane to run. You know what I'm saying, for a couple of yards, get my points up, and you can kill two birds with one stone. All right, run for like 150, 3 touchdowns. You know what I'm saying, beat the Steelers, and I win my fantasy football game guaranteed. And the Steelers and the Ravens are now back tied, in the North.
I need Miami to win for a lot of reasons. One, you saw my ticket. I got a futures ticket. Pittsburgh lose tonight. That looks great for the futures ticket, so we need that. Two, I actually think Miami will win. Originally, I picked Pittsburgh because Miami has a track record, especially two, of not winning in cold weather games. But then as I kind of paid attention to what Miami's been doing with their running game during this win streak and how Pittsburgh has struggled to stop the run, along with the fact that T.J. Watt is not playing tonight. Shout out to T.J. Watt. Wish him a speedy recovery. He had a collapsed lung the other day. I think this lines up perfectly for Miami to get the upset tonight. And since you brought up Real Fans, Real Talk Fantasy Football League, Trip, it must be said, I'm the hottest team in the league right now. I'm about to win again today for 7 straight wins. When I drafted, Yahoo said I would only win 3 games all season. We're on the cusp of our 9th win. Trip, I see you looking up. Can you please let the people know who I beat up on this week? Because he's a good friend of the show.
Please
let the people know who I beat up on this week. Because another one bites the dust.
You gonna get me in the middle of...
I just want the people to know this is what I'm doing out here.
Hey, Will Gordon, you in the building still? Hold on, let me throw this up here for my main man, Will Gordon, because I seen him in the...
Shout out to Will.
Why you doing?
But I had to put belt the ass on Will this week.
Will, why he coming at you like
for
that?
For the 7th straight win, you know what I'm saying? And now we getting hot just before the playoffs. We the team nobody wants to see in the playoffs because we the hottest thing right now going into the playoffs. 7 straight wins.
Why would you let him do this to you, Will? And it's a blowout too. It's not even close.
It's not even competitive out here.
You can't give Eric bragging rights, Will. You got to do better.
So yeah, there's that. But I do like Miami tonight. Miami's getting 3 points. I like them to win outright though. I like Miami tonight, and I think Devin Achin has a good game, as you mentioned, Trip.
Yes, sir. All right. Oh, Shannon Sharp says he can't believe that the Browns gave Shedeur the wrong wristband. Stefanski got to go. At this point, I mean, it's looking like y'all trying to sabotage this young man. Like he done outperformed, outplayed, out everything that y'all tried to put, you know, on this young man, and he's far exceeded everything that anybody even thought. And it's like you continue to put him in position to fail. I don't
Yeah.
understand it. I don't get it. But there needs to be a clean sweep in that Browns organization from the coaching staff to the GM. Everybody needs to go behind this Shador situation. And here's why. And it's something that we spoke about last week, Eric. Because what you're doing, because you made the dumb decision to draft Shador in the 5th round, now it's going to come back and bite you in the butt because he is going to be up a lot sooner than he would have had he been on a rookie deal as a first rounder when you should have drafted him when you actually should have drafted him. So now if I'm Shador, I'm not giving you no type of hometown discount. You haven't earned that. You don't deserve for him to give you a hometown discount. He's going to be looking for the bag now when he does resign, and he's going if he decides to stay in Cleveland, you are going to pay, and it's going to be a contract that is bigger than the contract that you gave Deshaun Watson. You're going to have to give a bigger contract than that if you want to keep Shador Sanders in Cleveland because of everything that you guys have done and where we are right now. He's going to look at y'all like y'all crazy if you come to him with some type of regular mediocre contract, and you only have yourselves to blame, and you are continuing to fumble the bag.
First of all, when I heard that clip yesterday, the sideline reporter made the statement. It was early second quarter. The Browns were 14-0, and she didn't want to kind of throw Stefanski under the bus, but she had to. She had to admit, or she had to bring to people's attention that Shador was reading plays off of the wrong wristband, and that's what was leading to communication issues on the field. I don't understand how this is even possible. Because no, I'm gonna tell you why I don't understand how this is possible. You have been on the sidelines of a lot of football games, Trip, right? You see the communication between the head coaches and the offensive coordinators and the players. After that very first drive, if I'm the offensive coordinator, or in this case Stefanski, and we call the play, and that's not the play you ran, my question is, wait, what play did you hear in your ear? Yeah. And if you point to the wristband and say, oh, this is what you call. No, that wasn't a play. Oh, man, hold on. We gave him the wrong wristband, bro. Come on. We can get this corrected after one drive.
Yeah, how do you go a whole game?
How do you go a whole quarter? Now you're down 14-0. Oh, my bad, bro. You got the wrong wristband, bro.
Yeah.
Come on, man. Stefanski.
I'm over it already, Eric.
If we wondered a couple of weeks ago if he was purposely trying to get fired. I don't know what it is, but it is what it is, bro. He won't be there. The best thing for Shador is to get out of Cleveland. Mm-hmm. I don't think he really has the support of anybody in that organization. And the tough part for the next head coach is you get hired by the Haslam family. If they tell you, hey, Shador's not our priority, then Shador doesn't become your priority because you're the new head coach and you got to build around what the ownership wants. Mm-hmm. So Shador, his best bet is to get out of there. And I don't know if you saw that there's the highlight floating around as well. Jerry Jeudy had a pass hit him in the chest that he dropped and went for an interception. It would have been a touchdown. Mm-hmm. It bounced off his chest, went right to the defender. It was an interception in the end zone.
So I saw the replay a dozen times.
Jerry Jeudy, you have been on the wrong side of highlights for like 3 weeks now. But you had the nerve to yell at Shador the one time he didn't hit you in stride.
Yeah.
And this goes back to what I said last time too. That was a moment for Stefanski and the coaching staff to really pull Judy's inside and be like, yo, we don't operate that way. You're not going to sit there and embarrass the quarterback on the sideline in front of the cameras especially when you've been playing the way you've been playing.
Yeah, but like, bro, like that's the part that is mind-boggling to me. It's like, bro, you ain't Justin Jefferson.
The way you've been playing,
You like you ain't T Higgins and Jamal Chase. You ain't nothing like, bro. Like, are you kidding me? The nerve,
the way you've been playing,
that you have to sit up there and try to call somebody out when you've been playing horribly. But you might as well just lump your whole career into one, because it ain't like you've ever done anything that great that you should be on the sidelines trying to bark on your rookie quarterback who's played 3 NFL games in the conditions that he's been playing in. Come on, man, knock it off. You need to relax, Judy.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You know, the odds, the deck is completely stacked against Shador in Cleveland. And every week we keep seeing it, Trip.
Yeah.
Every week. They move the goalposts. You know, for some reason, nobody in the organization has the same patience for him that they have for Dylan Gabriel. When Dylan Gabriel was out here throwing for 140 yards every week, we're giving him time. He's a rookie. When Shador struggles, it's now Shador got to answer all the tough questions from the media. Mm-hmm. Right? Why don't I see Stefanski standing up for Shador the way Shador standing up for Stefanski?
Because he's not that caliber like Shador is. See, that's the difference. That shows you the character of Shador, because he could be on some BS and a lot of people would not be mad at him for, you know what I'm saying, not protecting the coaching staff and not giving them the grace that he has. But that just shows how he was raised, the character that he has, and the character that Stefanski doesn't have.
Let me ask you a question, Trip. If Jimmy Haslam, the owner of the Browns, because he had Dion in the suite 2 weeks ago. Mm-hmm. If you're Dion and Jimmy Haslam comes to you and say, "Hey, look, come coach the Browns," would you take it?
No, because my son ain't gonna be there. I'll go coach wherever he goes to, but I'm not.
I was gonna say, I think that rumor is gonna gain some steam this offseason. I think that watch Dion linked to Cleveland.
Keep Shador in Cleveland.
That's why I'm saying that, because Jimmy Haslam, I think, is probably, as the owner, has probably been one of the people that's shown support of Shador. Remember, his sons were the one on the sideline wearing the Shador jersey. The rumor has been that Jimmy was the one who pushed to draft Shador, even though they had already taken Dylan Gabriel. Yeah. And then obviously he had Dion and the family in the suite 2 weeks ago. It's possible that Jimmy Haslam sees what's going on and knows, like, yo, Shador's not going to want to stay here when it's time, right? Like, unless we get somebody here who has the kids back, he ain't going to stay.
You have to, and you have to have that mindset because of everything that went down.
Yeah, I mean, and Shador's right for feeling that way too.
Yep. Shout out to Dion Hope's page. He says Steve Kerr, after yesterday's loss to the Blazers, says he hasn't done a good job coaching this year. Well, duh. I got a question. Brandon Posniaski hasn't shot well and throws the ball away often, but I wonder why Kerr hasn't given him a DNP like he does to Moody and Kuminga. Just wonder why them two brothers can start at times and then have DNPs and not Pod. I mean, I can't explain the coaching decisions that Steve Kerr made. The only thing I could, really suggest is maybe Pod does other things. One of the things we spoke about with Kuminga I don't know if it's last week or the week before last. So where it's like, if he's not scoring you points, it's like there's nothing else he's contributing to your offense or defense. So that may be a part of it. Whereas, with Pod, if he might not be lighting up the scoreboard every night, but he's gonna do the other things that would keep him on the floor. So that would be my guess. But again, what I'm saying, I'm not in the mind of Steve Kerr. So
I mean, listen, y'all wanna be mad at Steve Kerr so bad. It's every week y'all asking about Kuminga. Let's keep it a buck. If you look at the raw numbers, Kuminga and Brzezinski both average 12 points a game. Mm-hmm. The main difference is Kuminga's a better athlete, Brzezinski's a better shooter. Brzezinski shoots 40% from three. So this is about spacing, right?
Yeah.
If you got Jimmy Butler, who's not a great 3-point shooter on the floor, if you got Draymond Green, who's not a great 3-point shooter on the floor, the last thing I need is another guy who's not a great 3-point shooter. I need spacing. I need to be able to create cutting lanes and opportunities. So I think Kerr is coaching to the talent he has. Now, is Podziemski a great player? Hell no. He ain't Austin Reeves. He's not that type of caliber player. But just based on what the team needs, I think he fits them a little bit better than Moody and Kuminga, because neither one of those guys are shooters. Those guys are really good athletes who can get to the basket. But that's when the game is an up and down game. When it's a half-court game and they're not able to create their own shot and get to the basket the same way, then they're non-effective players. But this slander of Steve Kerr and why he doesn't play Kuminga, I'm willing to put money down right now. The day they trade Kuminga, he goes somewhere else, and Kuminga does not produce. Y'all gonna stop talking about Kuminga. Because at some point, if Kuminga was as good as y'all think he is, it would have shown already.
Yeah.
It would have shown already. This ain't got nothing to do with Steve Kerr. The kid isn't as good as y'all think he is. He's a good athlete. He has moments. Yes, if you catch him on the right night, he has moments. But he's a guy who's a very streaky shooter. He's a guy who is limited in a lot of areas on the court. If the matchup is right, he can exploit the matchup. But if the matchup isn't right, he will struggle. And you can go through the box scores and look at even the nights that he gets 20 plus 25 minutes a night and he struggles to shoot. This ain't got nothing to do with Steve Kerr. This has everything to do with the roster construction and who fits best. And I think Steve Kerr is coaching it up to the best of his ability. Y'all keep trying to make it about Kuminga and Podziemski. They're not the same player.
Yeah. And let me just add this, because we've just gone over this in regards to Stefanski. You see how in this situation, Steve Kerr is being the accountable one. He's not letting his players take the, you know what I mean? Like he stood up and he's gonna put it on his shoulders. That's the difference, you know what I'm saying, between a good coach and somebody that don't even need to be on the sidelines.
That's a fact.
All right, Hoop Central says, Carmelo Anthony says, when they have the GOAT convo, he said, how you going to tell him Curry isn't in that convo? He says Curry probably sits there and say Mike and Kobe, then it's him. He said Curry not going to be Braun ahead of him, and he said Curry has a legitimate argument. Well, here's the thing, right? And this is, you know what I'm saying, because I'm still big on defense. Curry's not a defensive player, so he, like, for me, he could never touch Kobe or MJ or Braun for that matter, because we're talking about three guys that were elite two-way players during their prime. So for me, that's why Steph wouldn't be in the GOAT conversation. Is he an all-time great? Absolutely. Will he retire top 10? Absolutely. But to be in the GOAT conversation, I just when I think of those guys, they were all elite defenders as well as elite offensive players in their primes.
To say how you're going to say somebody's not in the combo, anybody could be in the combo. The combo doesn't solidify anything. The combo is just giving your opinion on who you think were some of the greatest players of all time. So should Curry be in the combo? Okay. But my question is, who's coming out of that combo then? Because we can't have a 10-player GOAT conversation. You know what I'm saying? Because we'd be here all day. This guy should be in, that guy should be in. Let's be real. Mike, LeBron, Kareem, Magic, Bill Russell, Larry Bird, Tim Duncan. Who am I missing, Trip? Because I just named about 6-7 guys.
I mean, that's enough right there, I think.
Right. So out of those guys I just mentioned, who would Curry go in place of?
Listen, I feel like if you're not ranked in the top 5, you can't even be in the GOAT conversation. I think that's where we should go.
But that's the problem with the combo, because everybody says, oh, such and such should be in the combo. Yeah, anybody can be in the combo. But let's have a legitimate conversation. If you're going to say Curry should be in the GOAT combo, all right. So again, give me the 5 players where Curry would line up in that list. It's Mike, it's Braun, it's Kareem, You know what I'm saying? It's Magic, it's Bird, it's Bill Russell, it's Tim Duncan, it's Wilt Chamberlain. Like, we'll be here all night. We can name guys. I think Curry's a great player. I think Curry is one of the most impactful players ever in terms of how the game has changed, because his skill set changed the way basketball is played right now. Everybody now wants to be a three-point shooter, and everybody wants to shoot from distance. So that part of it is a true conversation. But let's be real. We probably could name 7 or 8 guys you would pick before Curry in that GOAT conversation. And shout out to Melo. I respect Melo.
To Steph.
Right. There's no disrespect to Steph, and there's no disrespect to Melo, because I respect Melo's basketball IQ. But let's keep it a buck. You probably not taking Steph over Magic.
I'm not.
And like we said so many times, Trip, if you're not even the number one guy at your position, how could you be the GOAT?
Listen, we're gonna keep having these debates, Eric.
All day. But shout out to the supporters on that.
Mm-hmm. Squeezy said Kendrick Perkins calls Giannis a coward for not saying he want to be traded. No, I don't believe so. I don't believe that's the case. Listen, there's a lot of guys that you may think want to get traded and don't say they want to get traded. Because at the end of the day, and then if you wind up not being traded, then you got to deal with whatever backlash comes along with that from the fans, your teammates, the coaching staff, the ownership. So it's a lot. So I'm not mad at him for not saying he want to get traded, even if he does want to get traded. If he feels like it's time for him to step up and stay that, then that's on him. But that's his personal choice. He don't gotta say it. They know what's up within the organization. Like it is what it is. I'm not mad at him for not screaming out loud, "I want to be traded."
How does Kendrick Perkins know he hasn't said he wants to be traded? Just because he hasn't gone to the media, he may have gone to the front office and say, "Hey, I want to be traded," and they're the ones that's probably saying, "Hey, let's try to work it out. Let's try to see what we can do." Yeah. Giannis ain't got to go to the media with every request he got. Just like no player has to go to the media with anything that's talked about behind closed doors with the organization. I think that's corny of Kendrick Perkins to word it that way, to call him a coward. You don't know what those conversations have been like within that facility. Yeah. So to call him a coward when, again, it's very possible Giannis may have told him last year, "I want to get traded." And they say, "Hey, give us some time. Let's see if we can work something out." And then he said, "Okay, I'll give y'all some time." And now he might be telling him again, "Hey, I remember I told y'all months ago I want to be traded." Yeah. It ain't Giannis don't need to go to the media and make this into a drama or a soap opera for the sake of Kendrick Perkins or anybody else for that matter.
Exactly. Imani wants us to go to the messy segment. She says, "Okay, do y'all think Tupac really slept with Faith Evans?" I ask this because she always tells the story meeting Pac and going into the studio with him, and she says she never slept with him. But over the past few years, a lot of people said she slept with him. She must be taking it to her grave. All right, so was not in the studio with them or whatever hotel or whatever. I was not there personally. However, I do believe that went on. And obviously anybody could lie about the situation, but I've seen interviews with people talking about how they walked in the room when some things was going on, in the studio when some things was going on. And then the reaction from her husband at the time, the late great Christopher Wallace, when that whole situation was going on. And again, you know the age-old saying, Eric, hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. So, you know what I'm saying? And again, and if I'm wrong, I apologize, but I just believe it. I believe that to be true.
I believe it to be true as well. As you mentioned, we weren't there. Nobody really knows aside from them and anybody else who, like I said, might have walked in or might have seen something. Mm-hmm. But I'm going to say this. There's a couple of reasons why I think it's true. One, at that time, she knew Big was still messing with Lil' Kim. So to your point of, hell have no fury like a woman scorned, she knew Big was sleeping around on her. So that's one. Two, not only did you know Pac and Big was having their issues at the time, right? which already would have made it look suspicious as to why would you even take a picture with this man.
Mhm.
2, you didn't alert Big that you had even seen Pop. The only reason Big had even found out was through the picture and then the record.
Yeah.
So that would lead me to believe that you were trying to be sneaky about it. Because if there was no malicious intent, you would have had no problem telling Big, hey, yo, guess who I ran into in the club the other day, or guess who I was in the studio with. But you kept that secret. And you kept that secret because you knew they were beefing. And like some people who are very vindictive will do, well, you've been sleeping around on me, so I'm gonna sleep around on you, and I'm gonna do it to a higher level because I'm gonna do it with somebody that you used to be friends with and that you got beef with now. So that's why I believe it to be true.
Yeah. Will says Burrow is not elite. He has had elite weapons to throw to since college. Flacco stepped in and threw 3 touchdowns after being there for 4 days. And elite QBs don't get shut out at home like yesterday. I mean, I'm not going to go that far and say Joe Burrow's not elite because I don't believe that to be true. Joe Burrow's an elite quarterback. Now, health-wise, he's not an elite quarterback. But actual talent and what he can do on that football field, he is certainly an elite quarterback. And listen, you can't go by Joe Flacco because we've seen Joe Flacco go into the Browns last year with Amari Cooper and have crazy games. Joe Flacco is like an anomaly, man. Sometimes he go into a situation and light things up, and you're like, how is he still doing this thing? And he just does. But no, Joe Burrow is definitely elite. I'm sorry.
Joe Burrow is without a doubt elite. I think it's ridiculous. Will, you know you my man, but to use isolated instances of, he got shut out yesterday. If Joe Burrow's not elite, then Justin Herbert is below average as a quarterback.
Yeah, that's a fact.
Because Jay Herbo got dominated in his playoff game last year against the Texans. Jay Herbo has yet to win a division. Jay Herbo has yet to win a playoff game. Last time I checked, when Joe Burrow was healthy with a competent defense, they went to a Super Bowl and they went to an AFC Championship game. Mm-hmm. So Joe Burrow's had way more success than Jay Herbo. And they were in, I believe, the same draft class. Yeah, because that's the draft class with 2 in it. So they were in the same draft class.
Well, listen, Jay Herbo not even close to Joe Burrow.
Right. So we're not going to say Burrow is not elite. That's more to do with the circumstances of the team that he's on. Exactly. Just like I referenced earlier, you get Joe Burrow off that team, put him with a competent team. Look at Matthew Stafford and what he's done with the Rams. Mm-hmm. Matthew Stafford always could put up numbers. He just didn't have a good team around him. Now they got a good team around him. Now we're looking at about 3 straight years of consistent play where they won a Super Bowl. They've been in the playoffs. Now they've already punched their ticket to another playoffs and have an outside shot as the best record in the NFC.
I'm about to say, they're looking like the best team in the NFC right now.
Go ahead and let Joe Burrow go somewhere else and then tell me if he's not elite. Joe Burrow's elite.
Kyrie says, I miss the female old school players. Coming on, I hit a few of them up. Teresa Edwards, Annette Woodard, and Teresa Weatherspoon. Whether they see it, not sure. Well, listen, we welcome, all of the legends. We love having the ladies come on the show. Like, I learn so much from them. I'm inspired by them when they come onto the show. They show us so much love, not only during their time on the show, but even after. Big shout out to Cheryl Cook. She hit me up the other day. She's trying to link me with somebody that we're going to work on having come on the show at some point. So we love to hearing those stories and being able to kind of break down the legacies with a fine-tooth comb and having you guys involved in the interviews with us. So we welcome all of that. All of the ladies that want ladies, any hoopers or, whatever, that want to pull up on the show. We welcome that. We love that.
That's a fact.
So, Kyrie says, I'm starting to believe Faith Evans did sing with Pac. Would it hurt to admit it? At this point, who cares? Like, here's the thing, right? You marry Stevie J. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it's not like, no, but like, ain't no loyalty to Big anyway. You know what I'm saying? Even though I know it's years later, but still, it's like, just if you did, you did. Who cares? At this point,
but you gotta keep in mind as well the fallout from that, right? She is the mother of big son. And so to come out now and say that, like the type of backlash his son could get for that, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Well,
so
yeah.
I think that's why she doesn't want to just come out and admit like, oh yeah, it happened, big deal. Because then it opens up old wounds again. Because then people, you know how the internet works. If she would ever admit that, people would say, well, see, you contributed to the beef. You contributed to him dying. You contributed to the East Coast, West Coast. And so there's too much backlash from that. She got to take it to the grave, bro.
All right, let's take this. Oh, this is the last comment from Kyrie. Dion said Moody in that post too, and Moody does or was last year getting DMPs, but game time fell to see y'all. Oh, appreciate you, Kyrie. Yes, it is game time. Eric, give us a final thought, man.
Let's see what we got. First and foremost, as always, shout out to the supporters. We greatly appreciate y'all, man. Tune in on Wednesday for sure. Rock with us 7:30 p.m. on Wednesday. We got the NFL picks. What else I was gonna say? I don't remember. I had another final thought, but I'll save it for another day. I can't remember now. But just shout out to everybody. We greatly appreciate you guys, man, and have a happy and safe holiday season as well.
Oh yes, sir. Yes, sir. Big shout out to all the supporters. Just keep rocking with us, man. We here. We you know what I'm saying, we love y'all. We love that, you know, the interactiveness with you guys every week. We love that, you know, y'all go to bat for us all the time. Y'all reaching out to people for us. Like, man, y'all don't even understand, you know what I'm saying, like how much y'all motivate us and rejuvenate us to continue to do, you know what I'm saying, what we do, and to continue to want to do it and want to do more for you guys. So that's all. Much love to you guys and to my brother Eric, of course. You already, bro. With that being said, make sure you guys are following us on all of our social media, Instagram, Twitter at Real Fan Talk, youtube.com/For the Fans Productions, facebook.com/Real Fans Real Talk. And if you're not in New York City, you can't watch us on Verizon 43, BPN 2 from 8 to 9 p.m. on Thursdays. Just go to the website, realfansrealtalk.com. Click that red button on the homepage, and you can watch from anywhere in the world. And make sure you guys subscribe to the two best podcasts moving. That's the Sanchez Show podcast and the Real Fans Real Talk podcast. We still got the parlays going on Wednesday nights. I know my schedule been kind of crazy, but I don't have to run the stream for the next 2 Wednesdays on Wednesday night, so I should be good to go for this Wednesday and the next Wednesday, which I'm excited about because I do want to get back in and start getting back to the parlays with my guys Eric and Will. Shout out to Will as well. And with that being said, for myself, Trip Young, my brother Eric Sanchez, aka Legend in 2 Games, we up out of here. Peace.
This is Deion Grant from the New York Giants, Super Bowl champ, and you're watching Real Fans Real Talk.
Live from the can. Vibe the can.
This is Real Fans Real Talk. Real Fans Real Talk. We as real as you thought. Real